Probably now you've heard a lot from the directors that are involved in the company, and you wonder why we are taking it so much. The structure that we work on is not necessarily your typical structure whereby as you grow you need more resources. We structure the business on what we call a flywheel motion, and that flywheel motion, as you can all understand, is similar to, for example, an Airbnb, or similarly to an Uber, where technology drives the format of the business. Phaeton blockchain works on a similar basis. For example, we may speak about smarter housing, but what drives it is that the technology of our Artemis node, deriving passive income, is the technology that we're bringing in. But we do not build the homes, for example. We get the builders to do that, to undertake that risk, whereas we just supply the technology. And under each one of these businesses, we have specific captains, managers, who are specialists in that division, who have the experience of the practical elements and similar understanding of blockchain. They report back to the board, which is similarly has the broad experience in those specific areas. So as a structure, we've thought it very thoroughly to make sure that each element, as our CTO had mentioned, has worked on side chains, and the benefit of that, it still can run individually and as its own profit center, but reporting back to the board. So coming back to, yes, we are doing a number of things, but the core business structure of ours, as I mentioned, is about blockchain technology. And that is where we drive our business. But as I mentioned earlier too, is that the other element is not purely the technology, but whilst we're building the technology, we are building an asset base. One of the core areas, as you've noted, that we work in, for example, solar farms, and also in our real estate area, is accumulating really good assets. And by building those assets, they never decrease in value. For example, if we're building solar farms, the concept behind that is to attain as much land as possible. And by attaining all that land, we will bring an integrated system. So it's not purely a solar farm, it is a solar farm with a data center. And what happens when you create energy? You bring it in the community. So applied to that, we bring in smarter communities. And similarly, we bring in agrivoltaics, which is agriculture, whereby we lift the solar panels to a high level and we actually grow vegetables, or similarly the land could be used for grazing. Together with that, there's the carbon credit element, and then the other parts that we're looking at is that by driving the company towards providing renewable energy, and if it's near a highway, our idea is to bring in typical station, a commercial station, whereby motor vehicles, electric motor vehicles, can get their electrical power, or if they're hydrogen driven, they can similarly fill in with hydrogen gas. So when we're speaking about things, we don't necessarily look at a singular form of income stream. We're always looking at multiple income streams in our business. We're currently raising our capital. We're currently on 2 exchanges, and these are going to start moving into the projects. The first ones will be into the solar farms and the integration of those many elements to it. We already have made a start. You've heard Brett Endersby and you heard about Mark Emery. They're managing that aspect. But then we come with the other parts with the real estate element and all the other technology that goes with it. So the funding of the projects will go into the tangible area. Parallel to that, we have been approached by a number of brokers to list on exchanges, and our focus would be what we feel is probably the better exchange is the NASDAQ. We're currently signing a contract with 2 parties who are familiar and have raised or have got companies onto a NASDAQ listing. But it's not an overnight process. We understand that we've got to build up our credibility and value. It may take a number of months before we fully listed, or a year. But we on that path of making sure that we're heading in the right direction, growing value for our shareholders and token holders, and making sure that we got the right board and corporate governance and the right business model to drive a valuable business